Hello everybody, my name is Tanya and this is the Book Adaptation Tag. So this tag was created by Bex over at Bex Experience, and I was tagged by Sarah at Sarah Actually Reads. There are 5 questions to this tag, so let's get started. The first question is, what is your favourite book that's been turned into a movie or TV series, and did you like the adaptation? And for me, that's going to be Lord of the Rings. I did like the adaptation. I felt that a lot of stuff was missed. A lot of the detail was cut out. When you've got 3 books like this and you're trying to fit each of them into one video, and there is such detail and depth to this, there is going to be stuff that's going to have to be cut. But I felt it was almost confusing. I couldn't kind of remove the fact that I knew the story already from my watching experience. So I think I was filling in the gaps, and maybe they weren't necessary, as blasphemous as that is. But I felt watching it that there was so much missing. Surely it was confusing. So I would have liked the opportunity to watch it not knowing the storyline and seeing it firsthand. Maybe I'd have a different impression of it. But as it is, I just keep thinking about all the gaps and I want more. Now there are apparently the extended editions, and I don't know why I've actually not chased them up, because probably that answers the question for me. I think it's absolutely ridiculous that The Hobbit is getting 3 movies, whereas we only get 1 for each of these. Now these 3 are actually broken into 2 books within them, so I think it would have made much more sense to make 6 movies for The Lord of the Rings, 2 movies for each, dividing them at that point that Tolkien gave already, and then you could have added so much more in. Question number 2 is, have you ever watched a movie or TV series before reading the book, and which ones? And for this, there's lots. A lot of them are as children, so a lot of the Disney movies. So you've got things like Alice in Wonderland, Peter Pan, Jungle Book, Hunchback of Notre Dame, Sword in the Stone. A lot of those things that are obviously based on books to some degree, some of them more loosely than others. Sarah mentioned Pride and Prejudice and Sense and Sensibility in her video, and for me that's the same. So there are a lot of other things that I've watched the movie before reading the book. A whole bunch of the James Bond films, although a lot of those are very, very loosely based on the books, or not at all. Things like Jurassic Park, Gone with the Wind, Iron Legend, which is very different to the book, but both are very good. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, Devil Wears Prada, Atonement, I think I watched the movie before reading the book. The Help, I'm pretty sure I also watched before reading the book. Things like Pippi Longstocking, another child one, The Other Boleyn Girl, Three Musketeers, Water for Elephants, The Witches by Roald Dahl. I've still to this day not read The Witches, but I have seen the movie many, many times. Roald Dahl was one of my favourites as a child, so I don't know why I never got around to The Witches. I really need to fix that. Then there's things like Total Recall and The Adjustment Bureau, which are based on short stories by Philip K. Dick. And probably the most recent one was Silver Linings Playbook. In general, these days I do like to read the book first before going to see the movie, but if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. I just in general like to make my own impression around the book and the characters first before getting that movie picture in my mind. Question number 3 is, what is the best movie or TV adaptation you've seen, and which did you like the least? So for the best, one that springs to mind immediately because I've just spoken about it is Silver Linings Playbook. I think this is one of the really rare ones that I kind of like the movie better than the book. Probably because I did see the movie first, but because the book is told from Pat's perspective, so we're inside Pat's head, there's a lot less Tiffany, and I love Tiffany as a character. I loved her in the film. I thought Jennifer Lawrence was great, and also the dance scene at the end is very different in the movie to the book, and I know it's the movie that's changed it, and usually I don't like that, but I really, really enjoyed the dance scene in the movie. Otherwise, the 1990s BBC Pride and Prejudice adaptation with Colin Firth and Jennifer L, you can't go past it. It's just so perfect, so true to the book, and it's just fantastic. And of course, we can all argue about which Darcy is the best, but for me it's always going to be Colin Firth. The first thing that springs to mind for the worst is Clan of the Cave Bear by Jean Owl. This is such a complex story. There's so much detail in it, and it's told in a society that has very little verbal communication or language. It's to a large degree signs, so it's really hard to capture and stay true to that in movie form, and I don't think it quite did it. I much prefer the book. The movie I didn't really care for. Question number 4 is, name a book that you really want to see as a movie or TV series. And a lot of my favourites, I don't know that a movie or TV series would do it justice, so I don't know that I really want to see them adapted into a movie, because I think I'd just be disappointed. So what I've actually chosen for this is anything by Matthew Riley. Matthew Riley is an Australian author, and he writes the book equivalent to the real over-the-top action movie. So it's just one action sequence after another. There's, you know, ridiculous chase scenes by water and in the air and by jet ski, and they're battling enemies, they're battling creatures. So we've got, you know, killer whales and panthers and gigantic crocodile things. And, you know, what are they going to throw at them next, and what crazy way are they going to get out of it? And it's like comparable to like the best action sequences and the best action movies, and I'd be really intrigued for those to be made into a movie just to see whether they can live up to the book, because it's just insane and I love it. And question number 5 is name a movie that should be turned into a book. And for this, I thought about it and I didn't know where to go, but then I thought, I'm going to say Valentine's Day. And I know you're all there going, what? But stick with me, because it's not the story that I want turned into a book, it's the concept. And that concept is that all-star ensemble cast. And I want you to picture a book that has like a whole bunch of literary heavyweights. So imagine a book where we get Gandalf and Dumbledore hanging out. This has been done to a degree. We've got things like The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen by Alan Moore, which I still haven't read and I don't know why, but this has got various characters from classic literature. So we've got Alan Quatermain, we've got Captain Nemo, we've got Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, we've got Mina Murray from Dracula, we've got the Invisible Man. I think it's really interesting to take a bunch of characters that we know from literature and, you know, shove them together and just see what kind of situations they can get into and how they interact. I had this recently in the booktubeathon. I read Cards on the Table by Agatha Christie, and that included quite a lot of her sleuths in one book. And while she does have overlap, it's interesting to see them all kind of together and those egos working together and seeing, you know, who does the better job. And I'm just imagining like a huge bunch of really well-known characters thrown in one novel, and it sounds like an absolute mess, but I think it sounds awesome. So if you know of any other books that are like this, like The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, that bring together different characters from different books, let me know in the comments, because I'd really be interested in checking them out. In my top 5 worlds video, I spoke about the air affair and the book world in Jasper Ford's Thursday Next series, and this we also get to some degree. That in the book world, in the further books in the series, it becomes a bigger part, and we get characters like Miss Havisham, we get the Red Queen and the Cheshire Cat from Alice in Wonderland. Hamlet's a big part of one of the stories, and so we get fictional characters interacting together, and I think that's really interesting. So for my movie that I'd like to see in a book, it's Valentine's Day, but not for the story, for the all-star ensemble cast. So that was the book adaptation tag. I'm going to tag Patty at I Smell Books and Sam at Thoughts on Tomes. Hopefully you haven't been tagged already. And I will see you in my next video. Bye!